are in a customer's bathroom, and the house is probably about 30-40 years old, and they want to replace the shower fixtures. So they have some outdated shower fixtures. These are working fine. Actually, this one's leaking a little bit, but they want to replace them with more modern ones so they might match their lavy faucets also. So the first thing you want to do is you want to measure how far to find out where the valve is, you know, from the back of the wall, from the floor up. And then you go on the other side of the wall. We're kind of fortunate with this job here because we have easy access to the back side. Sometimes you have something in the way, cabinets or something where you just can't get to them. This is nice. So we're going to mark out where the shower valve needs to be, and we'll cut out the hole and be able to replace it. Okay, so here's the mark of where the back side of the shower valve is. We kind of chalk lined, made our marks so we have a nice even opening. It always makes it nicer when you got a patched drywall back is when you have nice. There are a couple different options for cutting holes in sheetrock. Everybody's seen these drywall knives or drywall saws. They work pretty well, and if you get a good quality one, the blade's sharp and it's not too difficult to cut them. I always like to use a Sawzall because I get kind of lazy, so I want to get it done as fast as I can. Usually I'll use a saw with bigger teeth, so it'll even cut even faster. One of the critical things when you're cutting, especially with a Sawzall, is making sure you don't go too deep, because we don't really know how the pipes are run in the wall. We probably suppose it's a basement. We're in a basement. The pipes probably come from above and come down this way. And so, but just in case, when you do cut with the Sawzall, you want to keep it on a steep angle so you're just barely going inside the sheetrock, you know, within no more than a ½ inch past the sheetrock. Another little trick in cutting flat surfaces is you can turn your blade around backwards so the cutting part is on this side. So when you cut it, it's easier to be a little flatter and less angle. So when you cut it. Go ahead and use the saw for another cut, just for demo purposes. So now you just take the trim off, pop the cap off, because there's always a screw under there that holds the knob on. Grab the knob, just unscrew it, unscrew these. So we are ready to replace our trim, or to replace our valve, but don't forget to turn the water off. If you cut the pipe and the water's off, or not off, you're going to get sprayed. So here we have the new shower valve. This one takes male adapters for the pipe connections. So you pick up these male adapters. Our male adapters we're going to use by ½ inch PEX. So we're going to screw these in, and then we're going to hook the PEX from this to the copper line, and we'll show you here in a minute. And so you screw in your male adapters, make sure you get them nice and tight, and then all the PEX pipes will hook on accordingly. So the first thing to do is to cut the pipes. Again, making sure the water is turned off first. Sometimes the pipes are kind of close to the sheetrock, so you got to bend the pipes a little bit. And I'm using a little spin cutter, a little roller cutter, that every time you pass it, you tighten it up a little bit. These are real handy, getting in tight spots. The bigger ones are easier, but whoa. Always a good idea, keep the towel handy, because you're going to have a little water left over in the pipes that are going to drain down for a minute. Okay. So whenever you're doing prepping fittings for any type of soldering, you always got to clean them out really good. Even though they look really clean, still got to take the wire brush, clean them out really good, and after you clean them out really good, you got to put some flux. Now flux is kind of like an acid that helps the solder adhere to it. Then you got to prep the pipe, And the pipe has to be clean also. So when you're done sanding it, it should look brand new. And you gotta put flux on that also. You gotta make sure you get it all the way around, every bit where you want it to go. Okay. Now there's a little trick. You put this on. This one has kind of a snug fit, but sometimes they're kind of loose. And as you heat them up, they'll drop off. So a little trick to help keep them in place is to just give it a little squeeze. Just so it kind of tightens it up. It bends it just a little bit against the copper pipe. It won't fall off, but the solder will still go down and hold. So when you're going to solder, when you're getting ready to solder, it's a good idea to bend maybe about an inch and a half of solder, so you know about how much you're using, because sometimes as it melts, you really don't know how much you're putting in, and you want to get somewhere around an inch. And you want to heat up the brass. It has a lot more mass, and so it's going to want to, you see that water coming out? That's not good, because that won't let my pipe heat up all the way. So there's an old trick for doing that is you take bread, take the crust off, crumple it, squish it, and stuff it up in there, and that will hold the water back so you can heat up, and that's what we're going to have to do for now. Soldering is actually pretty easy to do. You just need to know some of the basic steps to make sure you get sealed. We're at the point where we're ready to crimp on the PEX piping onto the adapters. So these are the 1/2-inch crimp rings. Slide them over. This is a crimper that squeezes it onto the pipe. Squeeze it. One squeeze like that. Do the other side. There we go. We're going to put some elbows on. One of the nice things about PEX pipe and the crimp rings is you don't have to do it exactly straight the first time because it moves really easy. Okay. So we have the pipes all connected with the PEX, everything's crimped. And we're going to test the lines, make sure we have no leaks, and you always want to test it before you cover it up with sheetrock. Because if there is a drip, you'll never know it for 5 years, and everything will be moldy and rotten. Okay. So now that we got everything hooked up in the wall, and we're getting ready to test for leaks, we want to hook up the trim on the inside of the shower. So here's what you do. When you're lining up this valve, you want to make sure it's sticking out straight. You want to make sure it's not leaning one way or the other. If it's leaning, then your handle will look crooked. So what you do is you slide this on, and each faucet will be a little bit different. This is a Mullen faucet, and this is kind of how these go together. And just kind of slide that over. You're going to slide these in the back. Kind of get them started. I like to use a screw gun. You want it to be snug but not overly tight, but so it doesn't move. This slides in here. This one slides on top of that. And then this one will go in here. Make sure you hold the stem when you tighten it up, and you got to have control of your screw gun so you don't over tighten everything. Kind of slide that on there. Take the screw, this comes in the box with the faucet, kind of put it up and tighten it up. And there you have it. It's all ready to go. Then the last thing we'll do is we're going to put some clear silicone, just a small bead, all the way around, but not on the very bottom. On the very bottom there's a weep hole. In case you do get some moisture behind there, it'll drip. So you just start there with caulk, start there, and go that way, around there.